Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at what is going on with Destined Rivals. Now, we've had both our pre-release weekends now. Both of those have happened. They are been and gone. They are in the past. Pre-releases, well, the two pre-release weekends at least have happened. Which means that when we get to Friday, the set is out. Except that's not actually strictly true. Now, don't get me wrong, the set is out on Friday. That's not the lie. However, it's not quite that simple anymore. Because, of course, some stores can do an early release of Destined Rivals by virtue of being, I believe it's an organised play store is what it is. I mean, certainly my local Mad for Miniatures, they are awesome. But, they posted this Monday, 26th of May, sees the early release of Pokemon Destined Rivals in store. And yes, you may notice that once again, and I'm going to keep giving them love for this because they deserve it, once again, they are selling everything at retail. They are being very transparent over on social media. They are trying to make sure that everybody who is local and wants it can get hold of it. They're not shipping it or any of that. They are doing everything they can to hook up their regulars and their customers with proper stuff at retail, which is awesome. I love them for doing this. It's why stores like this absolutely need to be supported. But you'll notice that it is actually out now in some places. Like, well, you shouldn't at least. You shouldn't be heading over to Target and Walmart and those big box stores and getting hold of them. That shouldn't be the thing. But in some local game stores, you are going to be able to get hold of it. So I thought we should check in and have a look at the pre-sale prices or day one prices, phrase it how you will, see how dumb things are getting. Yes, I'll show you my top 10 card value-wise from the set, but we need to wait until the wide release to really be able to do that properly. And we might as well start off with what is not just the best card in the set, but artistically, potentially the best card ever. And no, I don't think I'm joking when I say this. I mean this very sincerely. I think this is wonderful. It is, of course, Misty Psyduck. I think the Misty Psyduck is, like I say, artistically, maybe the best card ever. But, of course, it's an illustration rare, and every set, we take a couple of random illustration rares, we pump them up way too high. Now, the pre-sale for this on TCG Player right now, it's actually $95. That's clearly too high. Or is it? Well, if we go and have a quick look over on eBay, yes, it is too high. Generally around $75-ish is what we're looking at here. You can see a couple in a row here for like $70, $75. Now, that's not to say that everyone is doing this. I have seen some listed a bit cheaper. I've seen some listed a bit more expensive. Generally speaking, about $75-ish is what people are asking here, which, again, is absolutely silly. And look, I'm not going to give you my don't buy singles, they're too expensive talk. We had that talk the other day. We did that video. What we're looking on now is just how expensive these things are. And if you're wondering whether people are paying 70 quid for the Misty Psyduck, yes, they are. Right now, this Misty Psyduck, the pre-sale price is about $70. And you know this is too high. It's clearly too high. You know it's going to be too high. I told you super clearly the other day the prices right now are too high. But right now this is about a $70 card. This is pretty expensive. What else have we got in terms of illustration rares that people might be getting a little bit excited about? Well, how about we say with Misty and have a little bit of a look at Misty's Lapras. It's the other Misty's illustration rare in the set. Well, the good news is this is a bit more reasonable. And here's the thing, right? There's been a bit of a shift in the past couple of days. If we go back literally just a couple of days, we're talking, well, here's three in a row, $61, $50, and $65. So $60 but shading to the over. That's roughly where we were. And we're literally, as I record this, we're talking like 4 days ago. What's it doing now? About $45. The last three solds are $45, $45, and $42. So even that, you can see the prices coming down pretty distinctly even now, which is nice. But that's still $45 for the Misty's Lapras, which is, shall we say, not necessarily ideal. Other big one we've got here, how about Ethan's Typhlosion? Because, you know, that's a pretty big one, isn't it now? Ethan's Typhlosion, huge card from the set. Actually very playable. Should point that one out. Very playable card. And people are going a bit nutty for this, are they? Well, Ethan's Typhlosion is a bit of a weird one. Because we can't seem to figure it out. Because the last three solds are 75, 75, and 54, and the one before that won't fit on the screen is 45. So sometimes it's selling for around about 50, and sometimes it's selling for around about 75. Which is obviously, that's like a 50% difference price-wise. It's absolutely absurd. Here's a bunch in a row that sold for 60 or 65. But like I've said, I just showed you some that sold for like 45, 55, and also some that sold for like 75. So Ethan's Typhlosion right now, you're looking around about 60, 65. But there's been a bunch that have sold under that. There's been a bunch that have sold over that. So it's another one of those situations where you need to be a little bit careful with this one. Because sometimes we're going massively over, and sometimes we're going massively under, and people just can't really seem to agree on exactly how high this one should be. I'm going to let you figure that one out. By the way, I should mention here, all the images for the cards we don't have proper scans that have been revealed. I've just grabbed pictures off of eBay. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's the best I've got. They're not as good as scans. But you know what? They are still images of the card. And right now, that's what we need. Now, in terms of illustration rares, the other one, which I think people might be going a little bit nutty for, is Team Rocket's Meowth. That's the other one that I do think is going to be a pretty big card. That's one people are going to absolutely love. So what are we looking at here? About $40. $40 to $50. Again, so many of these cards are properly all over the place. Like the three most recent sales are 49, 39, and 43. And then there's just a whole bunch ranging basically from 40 to 55 going back over the past few days. This is one of the reasons why I tell you not to buy singles at this point. Partly it's because they're way too expensive, but partly we don't really know what they're going to shake out as yet. And we imagine they're going to shake out a bit lower because of the whole it's ridiculous price thing. But sometimes you can see these cards like 15, 20 bucks apart in terms of sales. It really is a little bit ridiculous. So those are the illustration rares I've got my eye on as kind of being a little bit over the top ridiculous. What about some of these special illustration rares we're looking at here? Well, how about we have a little bit of a check-in with Team Rocket's Mewtwo. See where we are with that one. Because remember, when I showed you this kind of a week and a half ago, we were talking like an $850 card. Is it still an $850 card? Obviously not. Now, the last three solds were $650, $525, and a best offer accepted on $582. So, it's a kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still massively, way too expensive. Let's be perfectly clear. There have also been a bunch of sales for around about $600 to $700. So, I'm saying about $600-ish. Again, now I've told you how difficult it is to price cards at this point in the cycle. When you then add on the fact that we've got the really expensive cards where there are both fewer sales and more variants, and then fewer sales to kind of wrap it all up in nice, convenient price, it really is very difficult to figure it out. So I'm calling this one about 600. What I'm trying to do in this video is actually give you prices of exactly what we are looking at here in terms of the price right now. But like I said, you do need to just bear in mind that it's just not terribly easy. I'm sorry about that. Take Ethan's Ho-Oh, for instance. Take these 3 in a row, 250, 240. The one just before it off the screen is 230, and then the most recent one is 295. So this is the kind of card where I would be looking at it going, you know what, 240. Let's just call it about 240. So if we've got a 230, a 240, and a 250, we average them out to 240. Job's a good one. But then somebody went and spent $295 on it. And obviously, if we flick back to the early sales, there's, 300 all day long there. I showed you Ethan's Ho-Oh the other day, and it was selling for 300 and above. Yeah, that was like a week and a bit ago. It's absurd what these prices are at, but the good news is they are coming down. How about Cynthia's Garchomp? How about that one? Could this be the card which is starting to become a fairly reasonable price? I mean, the other day I showed you Cynthia's Garchomp, and we were looking at, pretty much $400. Everyone had basically just agreed this is a $400 card. Well, yeah. We got 3 in a row here, 300, 300, 350. And the one just above this that you can't see is 325, directly between them. So the good news is, I think it's fair to assume that Cynthia's Garchomp has fallen from, wait for it, a $400 card to a $300 card, which is still very relevant. That's 25% value. And, that's significant. That's a big drop. I don't think we're anywhere near the bottom of this drop, let's be clear. I think there's a long way to go yet. But as it stands at the moment, we're looking at about a $300 card. I personally think this is still far too expensive, and I do think as time goes by, we're going to see this drop significantly. But right now, we are talking about a $300 card. That is about where we are. And of course, we cannot finish without having a look at Team Rocket's Moltres. Now, that is outside of Misty Psyduck, let's be clear. But outside of Misty Psyduck, my favourite card in the set, this is the special illustration rare that I covet. And if we have a look at this one, I mean, again, when I showed you the other day, it was frankly a little bit ridiculous. I showed you this sale for $300. And then a couple sales which thankfully were only down the $150 mark. So that's better. We like this. Has it gotten better in the intervening period? No. No, it has not. Maybe if you compare it to like the 300, but certainly not the others. I mean, last 3 sales here, 200, 200, 170. That is more than 150. I will be honest here that the actual most recent sale is showing at $500. I don't know why, but that's 2.5 times the cards which sold just before it. And whenever I see one random one-off sale, which is so much higher than the rest, one of 2 things is going on. Well, okay, one of 3 things. Either something has happened to very drastically elevate the price of a card. It comes out that it's been short printed. There's a significant error in the card, something along those lines. Somebody's trying to cheat the system, or somebody just done a silly and massively overpaid. And right now, I don't know what's going on. So we're going to ignore that. So even the Team Rocket's Moltres here is like a $200 card. This one's actually been creeping up a little bit. I'm going to have to pick up a Japanese version of this one. It's going to be cheaper. But it does make me a bit sad this is happening. So there's some of the biggest cards in Destined Rivals and what you should be paying for them right now. It's too high. I'll be honest with you. But we did that video the other day. Now the point was just to show you some of the big cards and what they're going for. And if you pulled some of these at your pre-release, you should be happy. And I want to hear about them down below. So go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Dojo, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be awesome, so shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.